It's the Back to the Future star who's recently released his third memoir, and last week he joined Eamon and I to tell us all about it.
So he's an absolute superstar, an amazing life story as well. Strap in as we transport you back to when we caught up with Michael Fox. What a film, one of the greatest films ever. So many people have so many fond memories, as they do, of the actor who played Marty McFly, Michael J. Fox. Michael, lovely to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
I always love that line. It's my favorite line. You built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
Tell me, Michael, what difference did that film make to you? You were in your, early 20s or so then. That must have really changed your life.
It was a pretty astounding experience. I was doing a television show that was quite popular at the time called Family Ties. But I soon learned that you can't, at least at that point in our cultural history, you couldn't compare television notoriety with film recognition. When they see you on the film screen that tall and that big, and especially in something as buoyant and buoyant as Back to the Future, they really made an impression. So it kind of changed my life. I was all of a sudden people hiding out my shrubbery and sitting down and showing up at my doctor's appointments, and it was just it was a strange experience.
Yeah, and how did you cope with that kind of fame, Michael?
Not well. I was kind of a hedonistic mess until I met my wife, and then she calmed me down.
You were making Doc Hollywood, the film Doc Hollywood, in 1991, when you said that's when you first noticed this kind of twitching in your fingers and things. And then tell us about that diagnosis.
Well, it was strange. It was I thought I had some kind of sports injury. I had a sore left shoulder and a twitching in my left pinky, and it wouldn't stop. And I thought it was a nuisance. I didn't think it was anything substantial. And then I went to see this neurologist, and he gave me a perfunctory exam with the drunk driving, nose touching, and arm reaching, and all that stuff. And then just said, you have young onset Parkinson's. You'd probably be able to work for another 10 years.
And you were just so young. I mean, you weren't even 30 yet.
29 years old. And the average age of a Parkinson's diagnosis is 58. So I had a whole lifetime again to get to a whole lifetime again to reach the point where I would normally be diagnosed. I was going to be diagnosed. So I got an extra 29 bonus years. Thanks for that.
You managed to, well, you decided to not go public with that diagnosis, and you managed to keep that secret or to yourself for 7 years. How difficult was that, and why did you make that decision?
Well, it kind of made it for itself. I had some things I had to clear up. My first reaction to the diagnosis was to double up on my drinking, and that worked not at all. And so after about a year of that, so about 2 years into my diagnosis, I quit drinking. And then I started to see things more clearly. I started to see what I had and accept that I had Parkinson's, and learn about Parkinson's, learn about what it meant to my family, learn about what it meant in my life, and accept it.
Millions of people have this condition around the world. Are we any closer to a cure?
Absolutely. Our foundation was just started in 2000. It's our 20th anniversary. Unfortunately, it's 2020. It has to be the most beat year of all time. But anyway, we've been around for 20 years. We've put about $1 billion into research. I'm not a scientist, but I know we're making great strides. We've developed 17 or 18 therapies that are approved for use to improve the lives of Parkinson's patients. So there's a lot going on.
And Michael, how are you at the moment? Where are you in your Parkinson's journey, I suppose?
My pill is just kicking in, and so I'm bouncing around a lot, but I actually feel a lot better than I look. But I'm doing well. I have a wonderful family, and I was able to, I went through this period of time that I wrote about in the book where I was kind of questioning all the good feelings I put on top of what I was experiencing, and really got to deal with some of the dark stuff. And that was really useful to me. It brought me back to a place of gratitude. And as long as I've had more to be grateful for than I do to be regretful of. My life is good.
Well, you've always been very open talking about
And so
Parkinson's
positive.
and so positive, so optimistic. Your new book, No Time Like the Future, An Optimist Considers Mortality. I found this really moving because I want to talk to you about a moment when you didn't feel optimistic. You'd had spinal surgery. They found a tumour on your spine which threatened paralysis. You had to have a very long operation, have that removed, and you had to learn to walk again. So you'd been through an awful lot. And then you had a fall. And when I was reading about that, you were alone. And I think this you called your darkest moment. Can you explain why?
Well, because I'd set up this whole thing, it's just a disaster. I was walking, and I was walking fairly well. Considering I had to learn like the kinetics of walking, and like literally put the heel down, put the pin down, transfer the weight, all the mechanics of it. And I got to a point where I felt pretty cocky about it. I'd gone through wheelchair, walker, cane, all the apparatus, and I got to where I was just freestyle walking down the hallway. And so I had to be in New York for a shoot on a cameo on a film, a Spike Lee film. And so I said to my wife, we were on vacation in Martha's Vineyard, and I said, I'll just fly back to the city, and I'll be there for a day, do this thing, and I'll come back. And she said, you can't do that on your own. And I said, I can do it on my own. I'm fine. And believe me, I'm fine. And so the first morning I was alone. I woke up and fell down alone and broke my arm and was waiting. And I had to get the phone and make it. That was all complicated. I made a call and got an ambulance on its way. And I sat under the phone on the floor waiting for the ambulance, just ripping myself a new one.
Still always, there's so many memories, there's so many things to look back on. And here's one of my favourite rappers. I mean, what am I always rapping to Nas X?
Always to Nas X.
Me and Nas X. And there's still, you tip your hat a little bit, and you literally tip your hat because this is good.
Thank you, Michael. And Michael's book, No Time Like the Future, An Optimist Considers Mortality, is out now. Really lovely to talk to you, Michael. Take care.
What a guy, what a guy.
What a very, very nice
Inspiration.
man. And it's so great when he talks about it and it's so positive, isn't it?